Historians divide ancient Egyptian history into 30 dynasties, 3100 BC to 332 BC. A dynasty is a series of rulers belonging to the same family. Here, I will discuss 26 pharaohs who reigned from the 1st until the 4th dynasty. Ka, also, alternatively, Sekhen, was a pre-dynastic pharaoh of the Upper Egypt belonging to Dynasty 0. He probably reigned during the first half of the 32nd century BC, however, the length of his reign is unknown. He was buried at Al-Quab. Pharaoh Ka is known as King Scorpion I. Pharaoh Narmer or Menes is the first pharaoh of the first dynasty since he was the one that unified Upper and Lower Egypt. He ruled between 3150 to 3100 BC. He was buried in a fairly modest tomb in Al-Quab. He is known as King Scorpion II. Pharaoh Horaha or Horasaha is the second pharaoh of the first dynasty. It is believed that he was Pharaoh Narmer's son with Queen Neithotep. He lived around the 31st century BC, and is thought to have had a long reign. He was also buried in Al-Quab. Pharaoh Jer, or Zer-Sekti, is the third pharaoh of the first dynasty. He is the son of Pharaoh Horaha and Queen Khenth. He lived around the mid-31st century BC, and reigned for around 40 years. He was also buried in Al-Quab. His tomb was later thought to be the legendary tomb of Osiris, Pharaoh Jet. He ruled for around 10 years. Jet's queen was his sister Mernith, who may have ruled as a pharaoh in her own right after his death. He was also buried in Al-Quab. Jet and Mernith's son was Pharaoh Den. Pharaoh Den is the son of Pharaoh Jet and Queen Mernith. He was the first to use the title King of Lower and Upper Egypt. At the very beginning of his reign, Den had to share the throne with his mother Meretnith for several years. It seems that he was too young to rule himself. An important innovation during Den's reign was the introduction of numbering using hieroglyphs. He was also buried in Al-Quab. Pharaoh Anjib, or more correctly Ajib, was a pharaoh of the first dynasty. It is thought that his predecessor, King Den, may have been his father. Ajib was possibly married to a woman named Betrest. On the Palermo stone she is described as the mother of Ajib's successor, King Semerkhet. Ajib's burial site was excavated at Abydos. Pharaoh Semerkhet ruled for 8.5 years, about 2920 BC. King Den might have been his father. Possibly, Semerkhet was born to Queen Betrest. This ruler became known through a tragic legend handed down by the ancient Greek historian, Manetho, who reported that a calamity of some sort occurred during Semerkhet's reign. Pharaoh Qa reigned for 33 years around 2910 BC. There is not much known about Qa's reign, except that he reigned for a long time. Despite Qa's long and prosperous reign, evidence shows that after his death, a dynastic war between different royal houses began over the newly empty throne. Qa had a fairly large tomb in Abydos. The exact length of Pharaoh Sneferka's reign is unknown, but thought to have been very short around 2900 BC. Two artifacts of different origins show the Sarika of a king, whose name is highly disputed, for the hieroglyphic sign used to write the king's name is almost illegible. Since at least the depiction of a bird was recognized, the king in question is called Horusbird. It is believed that Sneferka and Horusbird fought each other to gain the throne of Egypt. The struggles peaked in the plundering of the royal cemetery of Abydos, which was therefore abandoned. Pharaoh Horusbird, also known as Horusba, had a very short reign in the first dynasty. Other than that, little is known regarding the pharaoh. Pharaoh Nebra was the second early Egyptian king of the second dynasty. He ruled for about 10 to 14 years, around 2850 BC. Nebra's name appears on several stone vessels, mostly made of schist, alabaster and marble. Most of the bowls were found at Abydos, Giza, and Saqqara. Pharaoh Nenecha, third pharaoh of the second dynasty of Egypt. He ruled between 43 or 45 years. The Palermo stone records numerous festivals and ceremonies held between the 6th and the 20th year of his reign. In the end of his reign, he left a realm that was suffering from either complex state administration or famine, which caused him to split Egypt and leave it to his two sons, or, at least, to two successors, who would rule two separate kingdoms. It is also unclear if Pharaoh Senij already shared his throne with another ruler. The end of Pharaoh Nenecha's reign seems to have been marked by poor harvests, internal tension, and possibly even civil war. An inscription referring to the king in the tomb of his successor Sekhemheb, Seth Peribsen, in Abydos. However, some scholars believe that a series of shadowy rulers, Wenig, Senij, Neferkar, Neferkasokar, Nebnefer, ruled over a divided Egypt before Sekhemhib reunited the country. The only contemporary artifact inscription relating to him is a shard from a diorite bowl with a, partially damaged, text: the king of Upper and Lower Egypt, Senij. Pharaoh Senij ruled during the Second Dynasty between 2773 to 2753 BC, or later. Pharaoh Khafre, the last king of the Second Dynasty of Egypt. He ruled for around 18 years around 2690 BC. Based on seal found in Khafre's tomb and another one found at Beit Khalif, it is believed that Khafre was the father of Pharaoh Djoser. He led several significant military campaigns and built the mud brick fort known as Shunet el-Zebib. He undertook considerable building projects at El Kab, Hierakonpolis, and Abydos. el-Qab is a tomb complex located at Abydos. Almost all the pharaohs of the First Dynasty were buried there. Furthermore, close to el-Qab is the tomb of Pharaoh Khafre, the last pharaoh of the Second Dynasty. Pharaoh Djoser was the first pharaoh of the Third Dynasty, ruled between 2686 BC to 2649 BC. He was the son of Pharaoh Khafre. He is the brother to Pharaoh Sekhemkhet, in other words Pharaoh Kaba's uncle. He was buried in the Step Pyramid at Saqqara. Imhotep was an Egyptian chancellor to the Pharaoh Djoser, probably the architect of the Djoser Step Pyramid, and high priest of the sun god Ra at Heliopolis. Pharaoh Sekhemkhet was a pharaoh in the Third Dynasty. His reign is thought to have been from about 2648 BC until 2640 BC. Little is known about this king, since he ruled for only a few years. He started the construction of the Buried Pyramid, which is an unfinished step pyramid constructed around 2645 BC. Moreover, left behind a well-known rock inscription at Wadi Magere, Sinai Peninsula. Pharaoh Kaba active during the Third Dynasty. The exact time during which Kaba ruled is unknown, but may have been around 2670 BC. It is also a matter of debate as to where Kaba might have been buried. He is believed to have been buried in the layer pyramid of Zoe-Alarian. Pharaoh Huni reigned for 24 years, ending around 2613 BC. He was the last pharaoh of Egyptian Third Dynasty. Pharaoh Huni built a fortress on the island of Elephantine to protect the border of Egypt at the First Cataract. He broke with tradition and built pyramids in the provinces, instead of Saqqara. He is thought to have built small step pyramids at Sinki, Umbos, Abu Rawash, Nagada, El Kula, Edfu, and Elephantine, and may also have built a small pyramid at Zawi at El Maiden. Pharaoh Sneferu reigned between 2448 years around 2600 BC. He constructed 3 pyramids, monuments: Majum Pyramid, Bent Pyramid, and Red Pyramid. He was buried in the Red Pyramid. Reliefs of Sneferu and those of all kings from Menkaure onward show the king offering to a deity. Pharaoh Khufu was a pharaoh of the Fourth Dynasty. The pharaoh was buried in a pyramid named the Pyramid of Khufu. This pyramid, also known as the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is one of the 3 pyramids of Giza Plateau. It is also the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. None of the numerous relief fragments shows King Khufu offering to a god, which lead ancient Greek historians to have assumptions that Khufu could have actually closed all temples and prohibited any sacrifice. Pharaoh Djedefre was a pharaoh of the Fourth Dynasty. He reigned for about 10 to 14 years, around 2575 BC. Djedefre continued to move north in the location of pyramids by building his, now ruined, pyramid at Abu Rawash, some 8 kilometers or 5.0 miles to the north of Giza. Pharaoh Khafre ruled from between 2520 to 2494 BC. He was a son of King Khufu and the brother, also successor of Djedefre. Khafre was the builder of the second largest pyramid of Giza, also the Great Sphinx, commonly referred to as the Sphinx of Giza. Not much is known about Khafre, except from the historical reports of Herodotus, writing 2,000 years after his life, who describes him as a cruel and heretical ruler who kept the Egyptian temples closed after Khufu had sealed them. Pharaoh Menkaure was the son of Khafre and the grandson of Khufu. Reigned for around 18 to 22 years, starting about 2530 BC. Menkaure's pyramid at Giza was called Necha Menkaure, which means Menkaure is divine. Pyramid of Menkaure is the smallest of the three main pyramids of Giza. Reliefs of kings from Menkaure onward show the king offering to a deity. Pharaoh Shepseskf was the sixth and last pharaoh of the 4th dynasty. He reigned 6 to 8 years starting around 2510 BC. There has been a decree mentioning that Shepseskf completed Menkaure's mortuary temple. He then constructed his own mastaba tomb at South Saqqara, the Mastaba al-Pharaon.